Let me just say this up front. If you don't like this episode, it means that it's probably for you. Because today we are talking about something that will set you free or it will expose exactly where you are stuck. We're talking about blame, self-blame, and self-responsibility. And these three feel similar, but they will create very different results. If you haven't reached the goal that you're going after in your life, you are likely indulging in two of them. So, quick story. Last year, I was very inconsistent with my workout. I know, hard to believe. Somebody who has the identity of athletic, how can I be disciplined in so many areas, but then not be disciplined with my workouts? How does that even happen? I'm going to tell you. I wanted toned arms. I wanted to feel strong. Heck, I even have a gym in my basement, like 10 feet from my office, and I wasn't going. And the result, soft arms, inconsistency, an intense amount of self-frustration, and if I'm being really honest, probably a lack of self-trust in myself. And so I did a model on it. I wrote down all of my thoughts and I figured out what thought was giving me this result of inconsistency, not pursuing this goal of mine. It is very simple, very obvious, very repetitive sentence in my mind. And it was, I don't have time. That's it. Not dramatic. It wasn't anything deep-rooted, just a simple sentence. I don't have the time. And I'm sure that day to day was a different flavor of that. I'm so busy today. I don't have the time today. There's so much to do. But ultimately, it was this belief, this core belief that I've been rehearsing for many years now, which is I don't have the time. Now listen carefully. That thought sounds innocent. I just don't have the time. But what I was actually doing is I was blaming my kids, blaming my schedule, blaming my husband, blaming time itself, as though that's something that was the cause of me not doing the things that I wanted to do. And what's interesting is that neuroscience backs this up because our brain, the amygdala, which is the primal part of your brain, it's always scanning for threat. And it's always scanning for ways to conserve your own energy. So when something feels uncomfortable or like it's going to take a lot of energy, like scheduling and following through with a workout, your brain will look for the easiest story to justify not doing it. I don't have time is efficient. It was protecting me from feeling discomfort, but it was also keeping me from growth, from my goal. Studies show that 80 to 90% of our thoughts are repetitive. If my I don't have time thought is looping around in my brain day after day, my nervous system is going to automate that behavior of not prioritizing it. My brain doesn't care about toned arms. It cares about prioritizing comfort. That's all it wants. It just wants to be comfortable, efficient. Basically, it wants to be lazy. So notice when I believed I don't have time, I would feel uncommitted. When I felt uncommitted, I didn't search for time. I didn't even plan for it. I didn't take out my clothes. I didn't set out the weights. I didn't get the program ready for that time of the day when I was supposed to be doing my workout. And the result of those actions? No toned arms, skipped workouts. Now, here's the part that matters for you to take with you. Time is not the problem. Your circumstance, whatever it is that you're making you not following the goal, the excuse, that is not the problem. It's not the actual thing that's causing you to not follow through on the result that you want. It is always 100% of the time you're thinking. Now, here's the powerful thing. As soon as I saw the thought that was creating this result for me, I couldn't unsee it. I took complete ownership that I created this result. I remember saying to myself out loud, I have chosen not to prioritize my workouts. And as soon as I did that, everything shifted. You would think maybe I had felt a lot of shame when I had said that out loud, when I admitted to myself that I created this result and took ownership. But the opposite was true. I actually had a sense of relief. I had a sense of almost like, I can take a deep breath now because this is responsibility. So let's talk about what blame sounds like, because this is going to be the easiest way for you to recognize whether or not you are blaming others for the results that you have in your life. So it sounds like my husband just keeps bringing food in the home. My boss stresses me out. My kids are so exhausting. The plan is just too hard. The restaurant didn't have healthy options. In other words, blame says, if they had changed, I would have succeeded. Or if they wouldn't have done that, then I wouldn't have taken these actions. It's abdicating responsibility to somebody else for the actions that you have taken or the results that you have in your life. And the reason why blame is such a problem is that it's putting the power outside of you. And when you put the power outside of you, you're waiting for the external circumstances in your life to change in order for you to feel better. You wait for the environment to be better. You wait for other people to cooperate. You wait for motivation, and ultimately you stay stuck. And the sad thing is that so many people are still blaming people from their past. They can't move forward, and they're still waiting for those people to potentially own up to their mistakes or do something in order that they can feel better and move on now, which is such a mistake because, again, you're outsourcing your own personal power. You're outsourcing your feelings, your thoughts, your actions, your results in your life to somebody else, which is like giving all your power away. Now, another way that you are disempowered, and this is a sneaky one, is self-blame. You might say, well, Jaycee, I don't blame other people. But what you probably do is you blame yourself a lot and you think that that's responsibility, which it's not. And what self-blame sounds like is, what's wrong with me? Why do I always do this? I'm such a mess. I have no discipline. I'm just bad at this. Notice the energy there. There's a reason why blame and shame rhyme. When you take actions of self-blame, you usually feel disappointment, doubt, shame, disbelief, discouraged, and probably incapable, which is interesting because if you listen to my last episode, those are all emotions that keep you in resistance. If you haven't yet listened to that one, go listen to it because resistance is the reason why you won't get all the way there to your goal. You'll get halfway there. You might even think about starting, but you never start. And the reason is because you are feeling a ton of resistance. So if you are self-blaming, you are creating resistance inside of you. And what neuroscience shows us is that when we feel those intense negative emotions like shame and guilt and regret and disappointment and fear, is that our brain is responding the same way that it would as though we were facing a real physical threat. So that part of your brain is lighting up. It's sending off signals like, oh my gosh. So that's why there's all this talk about getting in fight and flight and regulating your nervous system. It's because when you're feeling those emotions, especially if you're, again, repeating the same repetitive thoughts day after day, and you're in that constant state of fight and flight, your body is going to be resisting growth. You will not become stronger. You will not take steps to evolve. You won't take the actions necessary to go after the dream that you want. You'll just stay protective. You'll stay in the same state of comfort and comfort in negative beliefs. So self-blame keeps you small. It does not evolve you. It only keeps you repeating the same patterns to protect you. And a lot of those patterns, as we know, are quite negative. Okay, now let's talk about if we don't want to blame others and we don't want to self-blame ourselves, then what should we do? What should we do when we take actions that don't align with who we want to be? When we are living in the same place where we were last year, and we don't see the growth that we wish that we had up until now. This is where we talk about self-responsibility, or as I like to call it, radical responsibility. Similar to me with my untoned arms last year and my missed workouts, I had to confront what was actually true. And what was actually true is that I was not prioritizing my workouts. I was not making goals to have toned arms a priority for me. And that result was created because of my thinking. And remember, there's always that thought-feeling combo that comes before the action of not doing the thing that you know you need to do. So again, my thought was, I don't have time. I don't have time today. There's not enough time. My feeling was undisciplined. And the action that I took when I was feeling that undisciplined was, I'm not doing the thing. I'm not prioritizing my workouts. So responsibility sounds different. It sounds like I chose that. I was avoiding discomfort. I didn't apply the tools that I had access to. I chose to buffer instead of feel my feelings. I didn't make that a priority for me. And there is no drama in that. That can all just be neutral. Remember, instead of thinking the thought, I don't know why I have this result in my life, which keeps you in confusion, which is an emotion that comes from the resistance bucket, which doesn't propel you towards action and your results. Getting into radical responsibility, you are very clear on why you didn't create the result that you have in your life. Responsibility doesn't attack your identity. It observes your behavior. It says, I've created this result with my thinking, therefore I can create something else. That's radically different from I'm the problem, there's something wrong with me, they are the reason why I don't have the result, I'm broken. So if you have a business goal that you're not hitting, it's not, oh, it's the economy or my audience doesn't buy, which is blame. And it's not self-blame, like I'm not cut out for this. I'm not smart enough. I always fail. Responsibility sounds like I avoided visibility because I was afraid. I didn't execute consistently. I didn't want to feel rejection. If you want a better marriage, it's not he doesn't ever listen to me. He doesn't support me. He doesn't put me as a priority. Responsibility sounds like I shut down when I'm criticized. I don't have courage to have that difficult conversation with him. I haven't prioritized reaching out to a therapist to help us. Radical responsibility is where change can begin for you. Now, here's the confronting part. Your thoughts have always been creating the result for you. Not sometimes, always. And that's confronting because it removes your excuses, but it's freeing because it gives you your power back. If your thoughts have created the current result that you are living with right now that you're not happy with, you have power to change your thoughts. So you can change the result that you have in your life to the result that you want. There's actually a verse in scripture that fits this work perfectly. In 2 Corinthians 10:5, it says, we take every thought captive and submit it to the obedience of Jesus Christ. Think about that. It doesn't say we should wait for circumstances or fix our husband, fix the economy, fix your hormones. It says, take your thoughts captive. That is responsibility. So when you notice that there is a thought that's creating a result for you in your life, similar to my thought of I don't have time, I have to take that thought captive. And remember, our thoughts are repeating all of the time. So I have to look for the times in my life where I'm still having that thought with different areas, with different priorities that I have that are going to help me get to the goals that I want in my life. So when your lower brain says, this isn't comfortable, eat the cookie, skip the workout, tell your friends how terrible your husband's been this week, that's your indicator that you have to take those thoughts captive. And using your prefrontal cortex, the higher part of your brain, is to actively choose to think something new. That is ownership. That is going to create the growth and the results that you want for yourself. And that's how your life changes. So here's my reflection for you. Where are you putting blame right now? Is it your schedule, your spouse, your age, hormones, your job, your childhood, your genetics, your time? And where are you self-blaming? Are you calling yourself lazy, undisciplined, unmotivated, unworthy? And if you are, I want you to ask yourself, what would responsibility sound like instead? I have kind of a fun example with how you can think about talking to yourself when you are exploring your own radical responsibility. I've got 3 daughters. The 2 older ones are a year apart, and they tend to go at it. Sometimes they butt heads. And my younger of the 2, she's 9 years old. The oldest is 10. Does not like it when her older sister comes in her room. And her older sister loves her and she wants to come in her room and hang out with her, yet she has this urge to point out flaws in her room. That tape belongs to mom. Why is my sock on your floor? Why do you have all these dirty dishes on the counter? So my 9-year-old kicks her out of the room and says, like, get out of here. I don't want you in here anymore. And my older daughter doesn't know why. Why doesn't she ever want me in her room? And she can't see it. What she sees is she's mean. She doesn't like me. Sometimes even self-blame. It's because I'm unlovable, right? So all flavors of that come out of her mouth. And so very gently, I point out to her some of these actions that she's taking. And I'll say, how would you feel if somebody came in your room and all they could see are the problems in your room? Your bed sheets are crooked. There's clothes lying on the floor. How would that make you feel? And then she comes into her awareness. Yeah, it wouldn't feel very good. Okay. So in that moment, she's able to have this self-responsibility of, I'm creating this. It makes sense that she doesn't want me in her room because she doesn't want to be told that her room looks a certain way or it should look better. So I want you to come alongside yourself in this process as a parent. And if you don't have a loving parent who you can imagine in your mind coming up to, imagine that you're like the older sister to yourself, this loving older sister. And you're just like wrapping your arm around her and like, hey, look, the reason why you're overweight is because you just haven't been choosing to feel your feelings. You're going to food for comfort, okay? It's not meant to make you feel shame, disappointment, regret, or disbelief. Radical responsibility is about owning that your thoughts and feelings and actions have created the result for you. And when you do that, when you take radical responsibility, you get all of your power back. You become the woman or the man who says, I create my results. And then you create them on purpose. This is exactly what we do inside of the For Good Life Accelerator for 10 weeks. You build identity, you build emotional capacity, You build radical self-trust because you start doing things that you know that you want to do without blaming or without sitting in self-blame. And when you miss the mark, you do not spin in a cycle of shame and regret and disappointment. You don't spiral in self-sabotage. You take responsibility, you feel that emotion, and you move forward. And look, radical responsibility isn't supposed to feel comfortable, but when you learn how to take radical responsibility, you can sit in that little bit of discomfort, knowing that you created the result, and then you evolve. And when you evolve, your results will follow. All right, if this episode felt uncomfortable, good. It means that you're close to a breakthrough. Remember 3 things: blame keeps you stuck, self-blame keeps you small, and self-responsibility makes you powerful. So this week, I want you to notice, where are you blaming? Where are you self-blaming? And where can you shift into clean responsibility? Watch it, observe it, and that awareness alone will start changing your results. And if you want more conversations like this, where we go deep on identity, emotional mastery, and getting you to the place where you're creating the results that you want in your life, make sure you subscribe, hit follow, turn on notifications, because this is the work. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Hey, it's Jaycee. Super quick. If this episode resonated with you and you want to take this further, I have 2 ways that you can work with me directly. Path number 1 is for the woman or man who wants to become a normal eater. You're going to work with me for 10 weeks, and by the end of those 10 weeks, you will be the normal eater that you've always desired to be. The second path is my 10-week For Good Life Accelerator. This is for you if you want to up-level every area of your life, build emotional capacity, strengthen follow-through, and develop real self-trust so that you wake up every single day doing the thing that you know that you want to do, so that you can build the life that you've always been meant to create. Both programs are going to help you tap into your potential so that you can live the For Good life, the life without so much unnecessary suffering, and a life lived on purpose. And if you're not ready for weekly coaching or to accelerate your progress, I've attached 2 free trainings in the show notes. The first teaches my For Good method, the 2 steps to normal eating, and the second teaches you how to manage your mind in real time while you're feeling discomfort. And for ongoing teaching, emotional mastery, mind management, intentional living, and how to get out of your own way, join me here on YouTube weekly, hit subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode.